Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be talking to you guys about foundations and the foundations that I think best suit anyone that's got any kind of like warm undertone to them. So if you've got a bit of yellow and olive in your skin tone, then these are the foundations that should suit you best. So being Indian, I'm warm undertoned and I've got a lot of yellow in my skin, and sometimes I have struggled to find a foundation that really suits me and my skin tone. So the one thing I need to make sure is that I stay away from foundations that are catered towards any neutral and cool undertones, as they have pink in them, and if I wear one of these foundations then they basically just leave a grey ashy cast on me and it will just wash me out and look as though I've got no life. Now in the past it used to be really hard to find a good drugstore foundation that suited me, as a lot of them were catered towards the neutral and cool undertones and they had a lot of pink in them, but these days things have changed and the drugstore has really stepped up, and there are quite a few foundations out there now that are catered for warm undertones and are quite affordable. And in this video I'm going to show you a mixture of a drugstore and higher end foundations, so there should be something for everyone. Now I just want to point out that I am normal to dry skin, so a lot of the foundations I have do cater towards me and my skin type, but some of the foundations that I mentioned will have an oil-free version, so that should help anyone with oily skin. And also it's just going to give you a general idea of which brands do cater for warm undertones, so it might not be the exact foundation that I have, but the brand should have something that caters towards you. The first foundation I'm going to talk about is actually a MAC foundation. Now everybody knows about MAC and everybody knows about MAC foundations, and one of the best things about MAC foundations is that we all know that they do cater towards warm undertones as well, and they have a great shade range. Now typically in MAC foundations I sit around an NC40. I can get up to an NC42 if I'm really tanned and in the summer. However, I don't usually tend to go for MAC foundations, but the one foundation that I do love from MAC is the MAC Face and Body Foundation, and I'm in the shade C4. Now although this says a foundation on the bottle, I would actually classify this more as a tinted moisturizer or a BB cream. Now it's really lightweight and it's a really light coverage foundation, and it's quite sheer, so it's not going to give you any kind of coverage really, but what it does do is just evens out your skin tone beautifully. This is my go-to foundation for spring and summer. This is the one that I would wear all the time, as it just feels so lightweight on the skin, but just leaves you but it just leaves you with a really nice complexion. I don't usually wear foundations every single day, but if I was going to wear one, this is the one that I would probably go for. It's water-based and it's really easy to apply and it blends out really nicely, so I just usually use my hands to blend this out on my face, but if you did want a little bit more of a coverage then you could use a brush. But like I said, I absolutely love this foundation and it's definitely one of my favorites. So the next foundation I'm going to talk about is the Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation, and I am in the shade Cashew, and I've only got a small sample to show you because I ran out of my shade, and when I went to get some more they didn't have my shade in stock, so they just gave me a sample. Now this is a full-on full coverage foundation, and it's probably the most fullest coverage foundation that I own, but it is absolutely beautiful and it just gives you a completely flawless look. Considering how full coverage this is, it does not look cakey on the skin or feel heavy on the skin at all. I'm not saying that it doesn't look like you've got foundation on, because obviously you can tell that you've got foundation on, but it doesn't look cakey and it just makes your skin look beautiful. This foundation lasts for hours and it will not budge. So this is the foundation that I usually wear if I know I'm going to be at a big event or I'm going to be somewhere all day, like say for a wedding for example, and I need my foundation and my makeup to stay put, then this is the foundation that I would go for. Considering how thick and full coverage the foundation is, it blends out beautifully and it feels a lot more lightweight on the skin than you would think. Another good thing about the Estee Lauder Double Wear is that they do cater for warm tones, so anything with the letter W in will mean it's a warm undertone, so you automatically know which shades to go for. So the next foundation is the Too Faced Born This Way foundation, and I'm in the shade Sand. So next to my Estee Lauder Double Wear, this is probably the next fullest coverage foundation I have, and it's a medium to full coverage foundation. So this foundation claims to be basically your skin but better, and I would agree with that. It does give you a really nice healthy look to your skin and it does look like your skin. So it also contains ingredients like coconut oil, which are meant to be good for your skin, and it's oil free. And I would say this lasts for a good solid 8 to 10 hours on me. So the one thing I would say is that for me this is more of a matte finish foundation, so it can occasionally cling to my dry patches and go into my fine lines. So if I'm having a day where my skin feels really dry, then I probably wouldn't reach for this. Otherwise what I tend to do is probably use a luminous or moisturizing primer underneath and maybe blend it out with a bit of Fix Plus. Otherwise it might look a little bit flat on me, but it is a beautiful foundation. So the next foundation is probably one of my top favorite foundation, and it is the Nars Sheer Glow foundation, and I'm in the shade Barcelona. I Love this foundation. It is beautiful and it just leaves such a nice, beautiful glow to the skin, hence the name Sheer Glow. It's a really nice dewy finish, so I probably wouldn't recommend this for anyone that has oily skin, but if you do want to try it out, then I would recommend using a mattifying primer underneath and also making sure that you set your foundation. This blends out beautifully and I love how it looks on my skin and how my makeup looks when I apply this foundation. I would say you can build this up to a good solid medium depending on what you're using to blend out your foundation. So if you use a buffing brush or a kabuki brush, then you can definitely build it up to a solid medium. If you use a beauty blender, then your coverage will be a bit more sheer. It's got such a nice lightweight feeling on the skin. It does not cling to my dry patches, it doesn't go into my fine lines, and I absolutely love this. If I want to go for a radiant look, then this is the foundation that I'm going to go for. So the next foundation is the Makeup Forever Ultra HD foundation, and I'm in the shade Y375. Now I did have the original Makeup Forever foundation and I used to be in the shade 153, but that was a little bit too dark for me, so I stopped using it. However, the new Ultra HD foundation, the shade range is amazing. They have so many different shades, so I'm sure you will not have a problem trying to find your shade in this because they've got so many different shades. So I would say this is a light to medium coverage foundation, but you can build up to a good medium if you use, again, like if you use like a buffing brush or a kabuki brush. It blends out easily. It's not going to cover all your imperfections, but it just makes your skin look beautiful. I absolutely love how this foundation looks on camera and it looks in photos. So if I know I'm going to be going somewhere that I'm going to have a lot of photos taken or I'm going to be on camera, then this is the foundation that I'm going to wear. Again, it doesn't cling to any dry patches, it doesn't go into my fine lines, and it just leaves a really nice satin finish on the skin. Like I said, the shade range is amazing. I love the fact that Makeup Forever have catered towards warm undertones, and I highly recommend this foundation for you guys. So the next foundation is the L'Oreal True Match foundation, and I'm in the shade W.4 Golden Natural. Now this, I would say, is a really good drugstore dupe for the Nars Sheer Glow, as it gives you that really nice dewy finish. Now it does contain oils, so I probably wouldn't recommend this for anyone that's got oily skin, but again, if you do want to try it out, then like I mentioned before, just use a mattifying primer and make sure that you set your foundation. So this isn't the most longest wearing foundation that I have. It lasts for about 5 hours and then you would probably need to retouch, but I just love how this looks on my skin, and I love the fact that it is a drugstore alternative to the Nars Sheer Glow. It gives you a really nice glowy, dewy finish to the skin. It blends really easily, and again, it doesn't cling to any of my dry patches or go into my fine lines. So I wouldn't wear this if I know I'm going to be out all day or I'm going to be somewhere where it's going to be really hot, because I think it probably would come off. I would only wear this on occasions where I know I only need my foundation to last for a good few hours, but I absolutely love this. And what I also love about the L'Oreal True Match is that it caters for warm undertones, so it has foundations that end in W, C and N, which means warm, cool or neutral undertones, so you automatically know based on your undertone which shade range to go for, and it's got such an amazing shade range, so I'm sure you'll be able to find something that does match you. So the next foundation is the Maybelline Fit Me, and I have the Luminous and Smooth one, which is for normal to dry skin, and I'm in the shade 220. So this is my most recent addition to my foundation collection. I heard so many good things about this for so long, and I finally decided to go and get it, and I have to say I love it. I have only worn this foundation about, I think, 4 times, but every single time I've worn it, I just love how it looks on my skin. I love the shade. I think it matches me perfectly, and I love how my makeup looks. It's the foundation that I'm actually wearing today. It gives you a really nice dewy finish, but not as much as the L'Oreal True Match or the Nars Sheer Glow, but just a really nice, gentle, subtle glow to the skin. It's a light to medium coverage foundation and just feels really lightweight on the skin. For anyone that's got oily skin, they do also have a matte and poreless version, so you should be able to try it out. One negative thing I will say is that I don't think here in the UK the shade range is that great. It's very limited, whereas I think in the US the shade range is far more. So I was lucky enough that this shade does match me, but if you can find your shade in this, then I would highly recommend this. So the next foundation is the Bourjois Healthy Mix Serum Gel Foundation, and this is the only gel foundation that I have in my collection, but I absolutely love this. This leaves my skin looking so healthy, which is exactly what it says on the bottle, but it actually does. It blends so easily and beautifully on the skin, and it doesn't cling to any dry patches, it doesn't go into any of my fine lines. It just gels into my skin and just leaves my complexion really nicely evened out. Again, this is a light to medium coverage foundation, and it's got a very, very slight dewy finish to it. So out of all the foundations that I have, this is probably the one that's got ever so slightly amount of pink in it. So if I compare my Fit Me, you can just see the difference between them, and you can see that it's got a little bit, it's not as warm and yellow as my Fit Me. However, I can and do make this work, and it does look really nice on the skin. What I have found is that anything that's below the shade 56 is a little bit more pink in tone, whereas anything that's at 56 and above is a lot more warmer. So just be a little bit wary of that. Another thing is that you can't get all the shade ranges in every Boots. In my local Boots, it only goes up to 55, so I had to get the 56 from a bigger Boots like in Birmingham. I think this goes up to shade 60, but you just got to shop around and see where you can get your shade. But if you can get your shade, then I highly recommend this one. So next to my MAC Face and Body, if I had to wear foundation on a day-to-day basis, I'd probably reach for this one. And the final foundation I'm going to talk about is the Ex1 Invisiwear foundation, and I'm in the shade F300. So if any of those of you who have watched my channel before, you will know that I have done an in-depth review of this foundation, which I will leave a link for you guys down below. Now, this is a foundation that has been specifically catered for anyone that's got warm olive yellow undertones in their skin, and it's very affordable. You can get this foundation from feelunique.com, and it ranges, I think it's between 10 and 12 pounds. So this is a light to medium coverage foundation, which you can build up to a solid medium if you use a brush to blend it out. And it just looks like your skin, but better. So the only negative thing I will say is that sometimes this can be a little bit drying on me. So if I'm having a dry day and I want to use this foundation, then I will probably use a moisturizing primer underneath, and I'll probably blend it out using a bit of Fix Plus, and then that will solve the problem. But again, this is a great affordable foundation that has been catered for warm undertones. So there you have it, guys. Those are the foundations and brands that I think cater really well for anyone that's got a warm undertone in their skin. I hope this video has helped you out and steered you in the right direction if you have been struggling to try it, if you have been struggling to find a foundation for you. So as always, thanks so much for watching, and if you haven't already, please don't forget to comment, subscribe and like down below, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!